Hello there crafters, Louise with you today. Thank you for checking out this 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. It is a design team project for Paper Rose using the Primrose Garden collection. Now have a bit of a flip through of these 12 by 12 patterned papers and check out the beautiful patterns and pretty pastel colors. There's a matching set of embossed die cuts, which are fabulous for adding into clusters and building into your layouts. So I'm going to team it with the Butterfly Garden collection, which has some pretty little florals and butterflies, and that's going to work in beautifully with this lovely Easter themed collection. So immediately I felt that these patterned papers would be perfect for layering. I think the colors are just super sweet, and I love that they're very pastel and neutral, and you could really scrapbook anything. Now I'm actually not scrapbooking an Easter themed photo. I'm using this purely just for a day-to-day photo. It is myself and one of my sons on a golf day where we took a walk around the course. So it's more of a summer kind of photo, but in it I'm wearing a pink shirt, and for us to be together, it's a great collection where I can team it with these beautiful pinks and blue pastel papers. Now I'm trimming out the middle of the blue paper, so it's 1 inch around, and that's so I can use that middle section. And then I'm trimming off the ends of this pink plaid paper, which I think is so sweet. It's very cute. And I'm going to distress the edges and mount that over the top. So just a really easy way to add a border to a page and create a background to work with, so that I can go ahead and build the cluster around my photo. So I like to try and sort of find a few pieces that might grab my attention initially, whether it be something on a patterned paper that I might want to fussy cut. It might be this particular little tag that I've just pulled out of the die cuts. So it's really just at this point trying to see what inspires me and really going with how the layout flows and comes together. So I felt like this little blue plaid 4x6 piece would work quite well, because I already had that sort of mix of blue in the background, but I also had that pink plaid, and I think they sort of just add different layers of contrast. So I've got a blue background, then I've got a layer of pink, then I've got a layer of blue, so really just working my way through until I'm quite happy with how it all comes together. Now this matching piece I'm going to cut in the same size as that 4x6 piece and use that also behind my photo, almost like a bit of a mount, but I'm going to move it slightly off center and then cut out the piece that also is just going to be tucked in, and then I'm going to go ahead and tuck that up in the top left hand space. So I feel as though having this balance of top left and bottom right just can help you to put together almost like a photo mount, or what I would call cluster building, to add areas of interest. And really this little tag piece just slotted in there beautifully. I didn't have to think too hard about it and managed to just pop that there. Now thinking about the prettiness of this particular collection and how sweet it all comes together, I'm going to use a paper doily. So this is a relatively large doily. I think it's about probably 7x7 if you have a look at how much of the 12x12 it covers. So it's quite a large doily, but really good for adding just a little bit of femininity to a cluster. And again, having a look at some of these little elements of the ephemera pieces, I don't really have a great deal of other sort of structure in mind. It's it's taking pieces as they inspire me and simply building areas of interest. So this, I popped the little tag in and thought, okay, maybe I'll come back to that later, but I end up leaving it there and it works quite well. Now, recently I found a roll of cotton thread. It had hidden itself away, and I thought, oh, it's been ages since I've used cotton thread in the background of an embellishment. So I'm actually also going to just use this black cotton thread, and you just pile it into a big old mess, and you can see that you can pull out little pieces or layer it and overlap it, and it's going to tuck in beautifully just behind this little oval piece which I've mounted up onto some foam. And you can have as much or as little of that cotton thread poking out, but it's such a textural element, and it's really just adds that little pop of color too. So the layout's quite pastel-y. Having a little bit of that black in there just gives you a little bit of extra and helps to draw the eye. Now, there's a couple of these pieces where the die cuts haven't quite cut through all the way, so I just cut them out as I need to, but most of them you can just pop straight out of the background paper. Now, as part of building my 12 by 12 layout, I usually think about the visual triangle. So I'm always thinking about the cluster of my photo will generally have sort of two main areas of embellishments, and then I will have a third piece, so that third point of the triangle off of the actual cluster around the photo. And in this case, that's that top right hand little banner that you can see developing there. That is purely just for visual interest. So I've already got a border. I do sometimes like to add a border at the end, so some doodling or some stitching, but in this case I've already got a little border, so I can purely concentrate on the actual elements and clustering and the design elements, sorry, is what I'm trying to get out. Now, I have fussy cut that little butterfly piece, and it wasn't a full butterfly, but I'm going to combat that by simply tucking it into behind one of my elements, and you wouldn't even know that that wasn't a full butterfly. So I cut a blue banner to include in that top right hand section, and this is coming together beautifully. I haven't at this stage got a title as part of the process, so I know I need to come up with some form of a title, and I really love how that butterfly looks, so I'm sort of searching through the collection to see if I can pull out a butterfly piece, and I go to the Butterfly Garden collection, which had the little So Sweet black title. So again, this is just bringing in those elements of black to give us something to sit against and really pull the eye. So using the So Sweet title, I'm also going to just ink around the edges of these banners and build them into sort of a more detailed cluster. And that just, as you can see, they were getting a bit blended and lost up in that top right, but as soon as you add that little bit of ink, they really come together and draw your attention. All right, so I am pretty settled on my clustering, and it's at this point where I just think I just need a tiny little bit of something in the background. So pulling out a stencil. Now I need to find the name of this stencil. It is Layering Rainbow. So it's the Layering Rainbow stencil, and I'm going to use just some gold sparkle paste and pop a couple of little rainbows so that they peek out from behind my cluster. Now this also, because I know I want to add another layer of the black cotton thread, and I want to put that under the second butterfly that I fussy cut. So by adding this rainbow of glitter paste, I can actually have something for that to kind of sit on top of, so it's not really just floating around in space. And you can see that as the layout comes towards its end. Now, of course, I do love if I'm using gold in a background, and I think gold is the perfect accompaniment with these beautiful pastel colors. I had to add some splatter as well, so just using a little bit of gold splatter. I let that dry naturally, and then it's time to start gluing everything down and thinking just about how and where I'm going to finish this off. I have also off camera added my little journaling to that tag down in the bottom right, and getting closer to the end with that, like I said, little bit of cotton thread. So I like my little cotton tails to be poking out, but essentially I'm just going to make a couple of little loops and decide if I'm happy for that butterfly to sit on top. And like I said, just tucking it into that gold glitter rainbow to give it somewhere to sit, and pulls the whole cluster together. I did think about the top right cluster, adding maybe some thread to that, but it didn't fit and I'd already glued it all down. So I'm going to go with just the two parts of the thread, and that is my share finished and my layout for you today. So I hope that you have enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you visit Paper Rose, and as always, happy scrapping.